to computer. Welcome to the Living Room 2921 Duff Road, where we're learning how to live healthy even though we live in a toxic world. And tonight we are going to talk about the campaign for quality. Who has led that campaign for quality? I need to know, Denisha. I need a thumbs up. Let me know if you can see the slides. I got one more click. Can you see them now? All right. So can you see them? No. All right. Let me stop share. Let me go back and share. I don't know why it does this, but I got to stop share. I got to go in, then come out again. All right. Okay. Are we up and running? Can you see my slides? I need a thumbs up for slides, thumbs down for no slides. Thumbs up. Okay.
It says is it supposed to say NeoLife?
Yes, it does. Yeah, it does. All right. Sounds great. All right. NeoLife. Why? Because we're going to talk about what actually is who's led this campaign for quality in the industry. We're going to cover some really powerful information, and we're going to talk about why the breakfast solution is so powerfully important, why it makes a difference, how long that we have known that these nutrients that are in the breakfast solution actually does, clinically proven over and over again, make the difference in our health. So let's get started. Oops, all right, somebody is joining us. Let's see. All right, Ruth, coming on. Okay, welcome. All right, let's get started. Slide number 2. Yay. All right. So we're going to talk about back in the 1990s is when some research was done on supplements and nutritional supplements and the difference that it made in a person's health. And there was someone that specifically did that research that made Frontline head news because it was posted in peer-reviewed medical journals, because the way they did this research was pretty powerful. It was a gentleman called Dr. Rath that actually did his research through Linus Pauling Institute. And so when he published his research back even in the 1990s, he noticed that all of a sudden Big Pharma was hopping on board and forming a cartel in the vitamin industry. And so he began to document that cartel. And from that documentation, he actually took them to court and won several court battles. And so this cartel, headed by Roche, which was the German-based pharmaceutical company, they actually ended up paying out hundreds of thousands of dollars because of their unscrupulous activities. They conspired in one of the biggest cartels in recent history, the story behind the vitamin cartel of the 1990s. And Dr. Rath, R-A-T-H, actually exposed all of this and documented it. He said it was the most harmful and far-reaching cartels ever, provided a graphic example of the unscrupulous business ethics of the pharmaceutical industry. An international cartel controlling the production of vitamin and their materials. And so, in other words, I'm going to give you a little format here on what I was taught and how they actually identify a market and then go to market to sell a product. So what they do is they take a look at the prescription medications that are being pushed, the latest research that's being pushed in the industry by Big Pharma. And they actually identify those prescription meds and the supplements that they actually block in the body. So we all know that many of our supplements, many of our prescription meds block natural nutrition. They block vitamins in the body. They block B vitamins, they block C vitamins, they block nutrition that we get from our food. Actually, they block it. So I'll give you an example of one of them that I was told by a friend who was personally involved in this. He said, LaVon, we sit down and we take a look at what medications they're pushing. And he said, when we saw that they were starting to push statin drugs, we go and look and see how many supplements that statin drugs block. Well, we know that it blocks C, it blocks B, it blocks mainly CoQ10, right? And so what we do is then we'll go and we will actually create those supplements, because we're going to get the studies that show, that are coming out, that show that when you're on a statin medication, that it's going to block these nutritionals, especially CoQ10. So then my partner and I will, they were actually the first ones to actually formulate a CoQ10. And he said, it's sold like crazy because we use the research that shows that statin drugs block CoQ10. So we let everybody know that if they're on a statin drug, they need to take CoQ10 for sure. And so he said, it sold so well that it shocked us. We sold out quickly. So I had to call up my raw materials again and make another batch. And he said, by the third or fourth round of making up our CoQ10, we discovered that this, the raw material prices started rising. Now, it was rising because the cartel was taking it over, because that's what they do, is they cause the base raw material prices to increase so they can own the market. So that is why it's unscrupulous business ethics, because there is no ethics behind it. So this person shared with me, he said, LaVon, by about the fourth or fifth batch, I knew I could not hold my profit margin as a businessman. I was going to now have to degrade my raw materials, because I'm a businessman and I am for profit. So, and there's nothing wrong with making a profit. The problem is, all right, reducing your quality and in the name of making a profit. So he said, I ordered another batch, but it did not have the same quality ingredient in it that the first several batches had. He said, but because I'm a businessman that likes to sleep at night, before everybody would find out that it's crap, I sold the company and moved on. But he said, that's basically how we do business. So take a look here at this uncovering of the unscrupulous business practices of big pharma and the international cartel controlling the production of vitamins and raw materials. This is the only reason why the prices rose, is because pharma hopped on the bandwagon to control it, raising the prices of the raw materials. And only because of this, only a fraction of the nutritional supplements on the market today are of high quality. And the research actually shows this over and over and over again, that the use of inferior products can carry serious consumer risk. And we've seen that over and over again. Who was involved in this cartel? You can see Roche was at the top leader, but Merck was also a part of it. There were other companies, Swiss companies, German companies, and even Japanese companies that were involved in owning this vitamin cartel. So Dr. Rath what made his discoveries and his research so important was the fact that he did 4 major breakthroughs with nutrition with his studies. Working with Linus Pauling, he wrote the book, Why Animals Don't Get Heart Attacks. We're going to talk about that in a moment. And the reason why he discovered, after autopsy after autopsy after autopsy and all of his research, is because animals make their own vitamin C, but humans don't. So he began to examine the arterial structure and condition of a human that was deficient in vitamin C versus an animal that produces their own vitamin C. So he actually posted that research. Now, all of a sudden, the cartel's grabbing up all the raw materials in order to make vitamin C. So where are they going to get their raw materials from? Are they going to get it from juice extracted oranges? Absolutely not. They're going to get it from where 99% of vitamin C sold today is coming from genetically modified corn from China. And it says ascorbic acid on the label. As it says ascorbic acid, which is the clinical name, but it can be from juice extracted oranges or from genetically modified corn. Well, the problem is, unfortunately, 99% is from the genetically modified corn because of this cartel that was set in place. So he also went on and discovered that long-term deficiencies in vitamin D, vitamin C plays a very big part in circulatory problems, diabetes, blood pressure, cardiovascular system. He also took a look at cancer and the effects of enzymes. And I talked about that a couple of weeks ago, enzymes, the importance of enzymes and lysine and amino acids. So he actually literally clinically documented the data to prove that we do not have cardiovascular issues. We have a new name for scurvy. A new name for scurvy is cardiovascular arterial diseases. And so he developed the foundation for cellular medicine because he knew that nutrition had to come from whole food. He knew that nutrition had to reach the cell in order to make the difference. He knew that this cartel wasn't interested in that. He knew that the cartel was going to drive the raw material prices up, drive all the companies into the dark, as far as getting their very synthetics and a low quality, if no quality raw materials. So this is how the industry got started, got revved up, and got on that train. So unfortunately, today, Big Pharma owns almost every single vitamin company out there on the shelf in your GNC store, in your Walmart store, in your CVS store, in your chiropractor's office. Yes, I'm gonna say it all. Big Pharma has their hand in it, even in the health food store. You really can't find one that you put your hands on. Somebody texted me the other day and says, oh, but Solgar is a wonderful brand. I said, did you know that Solgar sold out to Nestle a couple of years ago? So what's chocolate doing owning a vitamin company? Well, they had already bought Garden of Life. And again, every time that they're tested in independent quality lab tests, they're loaded with lead, loaded with arsenic, loaded with cadmium, loaded with all kinds of toxins. They actually are the most offensive. Yeah, they pay for 2 seals on their label. So this is Dr. Rass' book, Why Animals Don't Get Heart Attacks. You can actually go to his website and just read through his book. It's quite amazing, but I'm just going to share a synopsis of his book. Again, he says we get heart attacks because we're deficient in vitamin C. Listen to this very carefully, and amino acids. he documented this. Your arterial walls have to stay very pliable like a rubber band, and otherwise it's going to get brittle and break and cause arterial leakage. And then when the body is out of balance, then when cholesterol gets oxidized, it makes a deposit in those splits, those cracks, and those tears, because cholesterol is a band-aid that comes in to seal those so you don't internally bleed. And then the body's natural formation of healing is cholesterol is a band-aid, and then you got to put a cast on it, right? Which is a little layer of calcium. So now you got calcified, oxidized cholesterol going on there. And when it builds and builds and builds, and then that arterial wall can't budge, then you have a blocked artery. Now, Dr. Ras said you have to feed your cells nutrition. In fact, he said, we have found the solution. We have found the answer. All you have to do is pay attention to about 59 nutrient families. Sound familiar? 59 nutrient families to put in your body to address cellular health. See, animals make vitamin C. Humans, see, it's an essential nutrient, meaning your body can't make it. You got to be smart enough to put it in your body. So vitamin C is the cement on the arterial walls, and this is why they call cardiovascular issues the new scurvy. It's the new scurvy. It's the same thing happening in the cardiovascular system as it happened with the tissue and with the sailors, where they had scurvy and their teeth fell out, and because they didn't have the cement to keep the teeth in. But he went on to document vitamin D deficiency, vitamin B deficiency, CoQ10 deficiency, amino acid deficiency, vitamin E deficiency, lecithin, carotenoids, flavonoids, and minerals. He documented this so powerfully that it actually shook Big Pharma. So they assembled one of the largest cartels to drive the vitamin industry and drive it in the ground, leaving quality behind, so they would rule the industry. And what do we got? We have 80% of Americans that take a vitamin, but they're taking no quality, poor quality, and it's not addressing cellular nutrition at all, and it's not helping them the way that nutrition was intended by our Creator to help you. So this is very interesting, because these are nutrients we have to have on a daily basis, just like our daily bread. You can't miss it. You can't, I mean, they were able, if you go to your eye doctor, there's a lot of eye doctors that actually have a machine that can actually test your level of carotenoids and tell you if you're going to get macular degeneration, if you're going to get the eye diseases, by how much pigmentation of carotenoids you have in your blood. So they actually had a machine that they could go around and test the blood and determine how long you're going to live according to how much carotenoids you have in your blood. And then the flavonoids is a new discovery, because it's the polyphenols. And flavonoids, by the way, is a non-acidic vitamin C. So it addresses a lot of the strengthening of your arterial walls. And all you got to do is type in flavonoids and stroke, flavonoids and heart disease, flavonoids. It is the #1 research today, and the only company that has all 4,000 of them that discovered them and identified them was NeoLife. Wow. Yeah. Awesome. Yes. They have not, because, and we'll go over that. I love what Dr. Ras says. I just pulled this out of a page in his book, but he says the top 10 program for natural cardiovascular health. Well, guess what? These are the top 10 things we've been preaching. These are the top 10 things that NeoLife has been preaching and supplying for 65 years, addressing cellular health. So you have to understand, number one, how the cardiovascular system works. You don't get heart disease because of a deficiency in statin drugs, but statin drugs will cause a deficiency in vitamin C. Does that make sense? All right, let's go down a better path here. So stabilizing the walls of your blood vessels, actually feeding the tissue of the walls of your arterial and your blood vessels so they can contract and expand and contract and expand. Now, we know minerals. Calcium plays a part of that. Magnesium plays a number one part in that. But flavonoids also plays a part. Vitamin C plays a major part. And how do we make collagen? Vitamin C plus an amino acid pairing up so that it gives you that proper elastic cement that will expand and contract with the flow of your blood, the natural flow of your blood, and not tax your heart. Vitamin E is a natural blood thinner. Omega, salmonella is a natural blood thinner. Garlic is a natural blood thinner. Flavonoids, there's studies. I have a whole file on this study. I'll have to do a class just on flavonoids. Flavonoids was shown to slow down the irregular cell reproduction. You know what that is, the C word, by 90%. It was also shown to work better than blood thinning medications to naturally thin the blood with no side effects. That's amazing. So reverse existing deposits in your arteries without surgery. How can you do that? Well, contact me. I'll be glad to give you a program, a protocol for that. Why? Because it is, we have it. And we actually just contact me and I'll be glad to give it to you. But Don Lawson used to say every 4 months, we should actually do this program for so many days to keep our arteries cleaned out. And with that comes your carotenoids and salmon oil and vitamin E. And he tells you how many to take day 1, how many to take day 2. Remember when Louis taught us that the bad oils can stay in the body for up to 7 years and oxidize. So you have to, if it's been plaster in the arteries, it doesn't need to come off in chunks. It needs to come off in slow layers. Does that make sense? So we have a program that can help that dissolve slowly and not in big chunks where it, it's breaking apart, but it'll cause an issue. Relaxing your blood vessel walls. Can you tell me what's the number one thing that relaxes the blood vessel walls? What's the number one thing that is a vasodilator? The number one research thing is nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is a vasodilator. That means it's relaxing that cell wall or the arterial wall lining so that it can contract. It relaxes it. It's when it gets stiff. It's when it gets brittle. It's when it can't bend and bow anymore. Optimizing performance in your heart. We know that exercise plays a part, but you cannot out exercise a poor diet, and you can't out exercise nutritional deficiencies. You just can't. They go hand in hand, but the most important, honestly, the biggest cascade is nutrition. How do you protect your cardiovascular from oxidizing? Vitamin C, minerals, selenium especially, but number one, carotenoids. We have the carotenoid sitting in the Pro Vitality here that was clinically tested to slow down that oxidating process, that rusting process by 44%. Oh, that's amazing. So obviously relaxing and there's no time like the now time to start now and building up your blood vessels and helping to clean out the arteries and keeping the blood flow and your vasodilation so that your blood is flowing freely. This is vitally important. This Dr. Rath discovered this is what would, and the studies that I looked at that he did were all over the world with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of patients that he used, showing that just by doing some of these simple things of addressing of the carotenoids, the vitamin E, the nutrition, the vitamin C, and the amino acids, you could drop your risk of heart attack for over 50%. Wow. So that could save lives. It could save money. It could save. But is it big pharma interested in saving? Yes, they are. Their bank account. So vitamins harm or benefit. Quality and research does matter because we see that this is a corporate effort in this cartel to own the industry and to not give us the nutrients that will make a difference. So it's this industry that matters more than anything else about your health. Wow. So taking a look at the research that's been done on nutrition from the 1990s, when Dr. Rath started this research, to 2020, it's looking at, look how it's almost like the exponential curve over 70,000 peer-reviewed medical journals showing of these supplements, these nutritionals, I should say, vitamin nutritionals that can literally work far better than any script. It's amazing. So a revolution has to happen. A revolution has been underway that affects millions of lives. The goal of a world without disease has become achievable. And I got this right out of his book. He said, this is not the result of genetic therapy or using synthetic drugs, or I'm going to add synthetic vitamins. The reason for this revolution is the enormous progress that has been made in the area of scientifically based natural health approaches, especially in the arena of micronutrient research. And micronutrient research just simply means that it addresses cellular nutrition. So let's take a look. Knowledge is growing about this area, our arena of information on how important it is. Well, what does it matter if you get enough vitamin C or not? Well, it could matter with, again, the new that Dr. Rath coined, the new scurvy is cardiovascular disease. Total number of vitamin studies published 1990 to 2016 show exponential growth in knowledge in the field of nutrition. This is all PubMed research showing this. So if your doctor tells you that vitamins don't work, I'm sorry, he's not read any of this research. The amount of knowledge of the fundamental importance of vitamins and other micronutrients that has accumulated over the last 2 decades, applying this knowledge worldwide could save millions of lives and billions of dollars in disease costs. But there's an interest that is opposed to this goal. All right. So it is a state of disease that is the revolving door in the mainstream medical. So NeoLife has led the food supplement quality campaign. We were the very first company in 1958 to come out with a human whole food supplement. Prior to 1958, it had never been done before. To be absolutely clear, vitamins are products derived from nature that for millions of years have been playing a life-sustaining and health-promoting role for the inhabitants of the planet. You can't argue over that. Adam and Eve did not need a statin drug in the garden. They didn't need metformin. They didn't need, they just didn't need it. And neither did Moses, and neither did Abraham, and neither did Pharaoh, by the way. But obviously this only applies to the natural forms of these micronutrients. Therefore, the question that arises is, so where did synthetic vitamins come from? You ever ask that question? If mankind has been surviving on human whole food to nurture their bodies at the cellular level, then who in the world came up with synthetic vitamins? That vitamin cartel that big pharma cartel I just talked about. They're the ones that came up with synthetic vitamins. Absolutely. Is your supplement made from human whole food? Is the number one question we ask in every single meeting. Is your supplement made from human whole food? And then let's take a look, helping people go down a better path. We offer people another path to take. And I love this little story because this is a young couple and they're exiting the pharma lobby and they're headed to untested vitamin products, preventative health. All right. So I'm showing you this little cartoon here because as people want to look at supplements as an alternative, there's a lot of misinformation out there. But when you trace who is putting out that misinformation, it's the same cartel. It's the same cartel that is printing the misinformation. And so many times, if you don't know to look and crawl over that obstacle and move on into preventative health, you'll stop right there, dead in your tracks. But we are part of an advancing revolution that is helping people to get past this obstacle right here, because I just showed you over 70,000 different documented research papers on the power of nutrition for chronic disease today. Oh my goodness. So it's not like it's an uncharted territory or it hasn't been proven. Well, it's been proven ever since the Garden of Eden that eating healthy food sustains life. So let's take a look at NeoLife has led the food supplement quality campaign. Due to the growing competitive pressures on the mass market of food supplements, manufacturers feel obliged to further reduce the cost of their ingredients. Just like I explained at the very beginning about the story of my friend who actually manufactured some of the very first CoQ10 products. This is only possible, though, if synthetic and artificially created substances are used instead of micronutrients from natural sources. So it actually forced corporations not to look to nature, but to actually accept the synthetic form because that is what their profit margin would allow them. While human body cells are able to identify and utilize vitamins of natural origin, their interaction with synthetic substances is largely unclear. And I like to tell people, if it's synthetic, then your liver is going to know the difference. And so that synthetic vitamin may help you for a short period of time, but it's going to deposit its deposits into your liver, and then your liver is going to start coughing. And then it's going to start throwing up, and then it's going to start having cardio arrest because your liver is going to say, wait a minute, I'm on overload here with synthetic vitamins. So their interaction with synthetic substances is largely unclear, but it is clear about the liver and how your body handles it. And there are research that shows that the bioavailability of your cells receiving a synthetic vitamin is very, very minuscule. But it's very toxic if you take too much of it. That's why if you're taking a one a day, if you're taking a Centrum, if you're taking any of those store-bought vitamins, I beg you not to take more than what's on the label because of the harm that it could accelerate and induce. As a result, millions of users are currently taking nutritional supplements that have a doubtful or even harmful effect. So it's like NeoLife, which has been doing it right since 1958, gets a bad name. So when you approach and you talk to people, even Louis said, well, I've been taking vitamins. I've been, fighting this C word for 5 years and it hasn't helped. But no, you've been taking rocks. You've been taking shards of metal. You've been taking turpentine. This is different, Louis. And I'm so glad that he listened. And I'm so glad that God had a different outcome and a different plan for him. And so let's take a look at a little chart here that shows you exactly how the system operates. Showing here, you have a growing demand for vitamins. Why? Because all these studies come out to say everybody's on a statin. Oh, did you know that you need CoQ10? And now everybody's running out and buying CoQ10. So they don't know they're getting a synthetic CoQ10, which the body can identify, and you're not going to have an uptake at your cellular level of a lot of CoQ10. More and more products are going to enter the market because everybody's going to jump on the bandwagon because everybody wants a piece of the pie. So it increases competitive pressure. So, the Walmart brand's got to be 2 cents lower than the CVS brand, or the CVS is going to have a deal where you buy 2, get 1 free, or GNC, you walk into GNC and it's for I was told this, GNC is for the clientele that wants to pay a little more than at Walmart. You're getting the same stuff because GNC is owned by China, a family out of China, and they sold the family out of China because they have been sued so many times for harming people, harming your liver, harming your kidneys because of what was found inside their supplements. So then they reduced to the cheapest raw materials possible, the cheapest, most synthetic ingredients. And it becomes questionable at best, but who's going to know? The consumer doesn't know. Nobody knows. Unless you're coming to a NeoLife class, you don't know. And then the result is harmful. It can actually harm you. And we've got study after study after study showing the harm that synthetic vitamins can do and is doing. Is the manufacturer that you are entrusting your health to doing any research? What is the first thing that Louis asked? Number 1, human whole food. Number 2, have they done any clinical human research? Not on a rat, not on a guinea pig, not on a ferret, on a human. I want to know, on a human, what is the studies? There, you could actually see this. I pulled this up from the internet saying, consumer beware, it's poor quality. There is no research. There is no third-party testing. And so therefore it gets negative press, right? So it's like when I took my husband to the general practitioner to get his surgery okayed. There was a nurse practitioner in there, and first time we'd seen her. So she was looking over his list of supplements that he takes. She goes, I'll give you one warning. The carotenoid you're taking, the latest study shows that it'll give a man prostate cancer. And so I was so thrilled to hear her say that, because I was waiting till she did the examination, and I said her name and I said, can I share some information with you? She said, sure. And I said, I'm well aware of that research that was done showing that a beta carotene will cause prostate cancer in a man. But it's real important to know that beta carotene on that study was synthetic. And I said, but let me show you about a carotenoid complex and the study that was done on it from human whole food. And let me share with you the test that was done on that. And her eyeballs popped out of her head and she goes, oh boy, send me that research. I didn't know it at the time, but she was battling cancer. Because the other doctor told me, someone else that knows that doctor group told me that lady was battling cancer. I sent her the information. So condemnation. So in other words, you'll see a lot of bad press. And this is where you're getting that bad press from. All bad press on vitamins and vitamin research is because they used synthetic. They used a form of nutrients that were turpentine. Obviously, your body's not going to fare very well taking turpentine. So here's some studies out of the Guardian showing B vitamins are dangerous. I mean, you're going to see this all the time. Your doctors are going to look at these studies and just draw conclusions based upon the limited knowledge that they have until somebody like you and I walk into the office and give them further knowledge. So right here, it says vitamin supplements can increase risk of cancer and heart disease by The Guardian. What you need to know about vitamin D and cancer in Time Magazine, and don't take your vitamins, New York Times, but every single one of them is synthetic vitamins. Wow. So too much to gain. We have too much to gain to lose this battle. The NeoLife difference. Leading the quality campaign. Quality you can count on, comprehensive long-term approach to business. That means that we are not in it for a quick profit. Like, oh, jump on the bandwagon of CoQ10. Oh, jump on the bandwagon of collagen products. Oh, jump on the back. No, we're in it for the long haul. And NeoLife relies on nature's blueprint. This is real important because if you don't rely on nature's blueprint, then you're not going to have the accurate guidelines to guide you to get the results that we get from our nutritional formulas. Let's say if pharma is your blueprint, then a synthetic is just fine. But if nature's your blueprint, a synthetic is not going to cut it, right? So to guide the world's top-notch scientists in developing safe and effective, innovative products that meet real human needs. And then, so how do we distinguish ourselves from our market competitors? Let's count the ways that we distinguish ourselves, because we are the leaders that have led the quality campaign. Quality is a commitment. It's been a commitment from day one, from 1958 until now, for 65 years. It is a level of excellence which our people and products have already attained that we are committed to maintain. So whatever company's done in the past is what they will continue to do in the future. If a man's cheated on you in the past, then guess what? Odds are he's going to cheat on you in the future. If he cheated on the first wife, if he cheated on the second wife, odds are he's going to cheat on wife number 3. You better beware. So, in other words, if a company or a corporation is doing unscrupulous activities, then odds are they're going to continue that because their bottom line goal is to gain more profits. So when NeoLife started out with human whole food as their going to nature as their blueprint, and they've never veered from it. And for 65 years, we have established a pioneer track record in the industry for 65 years, our commitment to quality without compromise. So we won't compromise. So in other words, if we have a problem with raw materials, I've seen this happen in the 10 years that I've been involved with NeoLife. We couldn't get our NeoLife bars for a period of time. I call the company, why not? Because our formula, one of the raw materials, we can't get a pure source of the raw materials. And until we can get a pure source, we're stopping production. What? You're doing what? Do you know that is unheard of in the industry? You know what other companies would do? Keep on rolling. We can't stop production because we have what? Investors we have to please. Oh my goodness. So ensures that NeoLife will continue to lead the industry with superior products. We have a what's right philosophy. Simply stated, this philosophy dictates that every decision is made in the best interest of the customer, distributor, company, and environment. That is what's right for all the participants in NeoLife's total value opportunity. The what's right philosophy ensures that each product designed, developed, and distributed by NeoLife will be of the finest, best quality that can be made on the planet. And I'm asked this all the time. How do we do it? How do we do it? How do we do it? Well, we do it because we're the pioneers in the industry and we know how to do it when other companies don't know how to do it and don't care to know how to do it. All right, so blueprint of nature. What does it mean when you go back to the blueprint of nature? We use nature as a blueprint to formulate products that are safe, effective over its lifetime. You'd be surprised how often this difference alone sets us apart from any competitors. What's more, considerable scientific research precedes the development of each NeoLife product. You go back and look at when I first started, I said, we need a CoQ10 because my friend told me the story of how important CoQ10 was for your cardiovascular system. And the scientist, John Miller, sat down and we were having lunch together. And he goes, Levon, we know the importance of CoQ10. But he said, there is not a CoQ10 on the planet. It's been formulated from nature. It's all synthetic. And the bioavailability is very little. He said, he smiled real big and he said, because of our pioneer research with TRANN, we're about to formulate, but we're finishing up the clinical studies so we can prove it, the world's first and only human whole food CoQ10. Now we have it. Amazing. These are amazing breakthroughs that have never been done before. It's like, what was the show, To Go Beyond, where no man has ever been? Star Trek. Yes. So in other words, what we look at nature and we actually start looking into developing it and processing it. So it took us how long to get the world's first human whole food CoQ10? And then, well, somebody might say, well, what difference does it make? Well, the difference is your liver will tell the difference, your kidneys will tell the difference, your cardiovascular system will tell the difference. And besides that, when you go to your bioavailability will tell the difference, because your body will absorb at the cellular level the human whole food CoQ10 when the body will try to throw off as a toxin the other synthetic CoQ10. So here we weigh the existing body of scientific evidence, everything from ancient folklore usage to the latest scientific findings from international double-blind, placebo-controlled clinical trials. Let me tell you, I have heard some stories about how these big name companies come about. Here's one of the latest stories that I read the other day about a company that's wide known. And he said, bring me all the #1 herbs that everybody's taking. And they wrote it all down on a list. And he looked at it and he goes, okay, I want a product that has this in it, this in it, this in it, this in it, and this in it. Now go make me that product. And then let's line up and let's pay, because you can actually pay to have your product put in the physician's reference desk. So, and then they promoted, oh, our product line is in the physician's reference desk. Is yours in the physician's reference desk? And I say, no, it's not, because we didn't pay the money to have it printed and published in the physician's reference desk. As a matter of fact, it's in double-blind placebo studies that's posted by peer-reviewed medical journals. Oh my goodness. So we weigh the difference. Then we combine the best that nature and science has to offer in order to create innovative, effective products. So how long did it take us to actually take that beta carotene that's coming from a carrot and identify and do the source specific identification and codification of all 15 families, all 600 members? It took us 10 years with the world top antioxidant specialists in the entire world to finally get that, nail it, because we had the machines, the tech, the machinery in the facility to accomplish that goal. And then when we did the clinical studies, the world was shocked. Even the Center for Disease Control, even the USDA was shocked. So raw materials are available in many forms. with the different abilities and a vast different prices. So I remember sitting down with John Miller one time, and John says, "Oh, Levon, let me tell you where most of these companies get their raw materials." He goes, "Alibaba." And I look up Alibaba, and you can buy barrels, buckets, bushels, pounds and pounds of any herb, any substance that you want. As a matter of fact, it'll flash on your screen. There's a sale in China because the warehouse has been sitting in a warehouse for about 10 years. We're having a big sale on this particular raw material. I'm serious. I went on Alibaba and I saw it with my own eyes. The section of raw materials determines the ultimate quality level. So your raw materials are going to determine your quality level. Only the finest raw materials to ensure quality results to the consumer. For this reason, we are renowned for manufacturing here at NeoLife products that are up to a standard, not down to a price. So in other words, if you go to a restaurant, I'm going to give you an example. I used to eat, I don't know if y'all ever remember, there was a restaurant in an old house around Lake Wire. And it used to be a tea room. And I used to go there for lunch, and I used to get sea bass, stuffed sea bass. I loved it. And it's actually was owned by the same guy who owns Lavender Lace at Lake Offred. And so I would go in there. I loved it. He had his little porch, wraparound porch. You would go out there and enjoy. And then all of a sudden I went one time, and the food, I wanted to throw up. My palate's very sensitive, and I had a steak, but it didn't taste like a steak. I was like choking on it. I could not eat it all. So then I said to myself, I will never come back here. Something's changed. Something's different. So I went over to Lavender Lace, and I knew the guy had owned it. So I asked him, "Can you tell me what's up with your restaurant on Lake Wire?" And he grinned real big. And I told him my experience, and he grinned even bigger. He said, "I sold it to a chef out of one of the big resorts there in Disney. And he said, I went over there and saw and told him what the menu was, told him where I got my quality products from, my quality raw ingredients and my recipes. But he said he could make more money if he glued together a steak." So he was using that meat glue on his steaks. And he told me, I told him that people are not going to put up with this, and they're going to not come back. And you know what? It shut down soon after that. So it's all about the quality of the raw ingredients, right? When you go and you can taste the difference, your palate can taste the difference if it's quality versus cheap ingredient list in a recipe. For this reason, we are okay. So in addition, NeoLife has pioneered the extraction, the concentration, and the use of numerous raw materials. Sometimes we were the first in the world to offer certain products and formulas, such as the famous carotenoid complex. And we had to develop innovative technology. So we had to go where no one had ever gone before, because you had to create and make the machine that actually can create and make the end product. So such as the oxygen-less encapsulation, the nitrogen environment. No one had ever done that before. So we were able to actually extract that beta carotene. We were able to extract all 15 families and all 600 members in their perfect ratio, because we had an environment that would not oxidize those precious pigments and oil pigments called carotenoids. Wow. And we went on. That's how we do the TRANN. That's how we do the salmon oil. That's how we do the lecithin. That's how we do the carotenoid. That's how we do, oh my goodness, all of the oil-based supplements that we have. And even not only that, even our probiotics in an oxygen-free nitrogen encapsulation. John Miller said, Levon, to see it in operation is so awesome. To see that oil go directly into that encapsulation and seal up is amazing. We did that. We were the first, we pioneered that technology. To protect our products during manufacturing, all of our ingredients are generally regarded as safe. All right. So then we honorably are proud to represent the SEAL, Scientific Advisory Board SEAL. Our SAB is enormously talented and committed. I always get the question, well, my chiropractor has a product I like, or my doctor, my naturopathic doctor has a product line that I like too. And I say, okay, show me again, is it from human whole food? Show me the clinical studies on humans to show me the benefit that you're going to get, that is going to help you and not harm you. And you can't. Again, if you know, I'm not going to say because I'm being recorded, but there's a series, and I love this guy who's doing these series. He's exposing a lot of bad things, helping people understand, getting them up to date on information. I love it. And he did a whole series on supplements. And yet I get an email from his wife every single day, and she's promoting their own line of supplements. And I go and examine them, and they're synthetic. It's a synthetic vitamin E. It's a synthetic vitamin C. It's a pine bark for an antioxidant. It's a pond scum for an antioxidant. Yes. So a distinguished group of scientists, technologists, and product professionals. And I get this all the time too. Oh, well, of course it's your own seal. So of course you're going to, promote your own brand. And so I have to go back and explain this, that our scientists on our SAB board don't go into our facility and punch a clock and sit down and twiddle their thumbs, and we give them a paycheck to use their name. They are self-respected. They are self-published in their honorable position of expertise from all over the world. They represent government labs, university facilities and labs from all over the world. They just get together through certain times of the year to discuss the blueprint of nature and our formulas. So NeoLife Scientific Advisory Board is the most active, committed, prominent, and qualified in the nutritional industry. So in other words, we have to pre-qualify them. When we brought Liz Applegate on board, I asked her how long had she been looking at NeoLife to come on board. She goes, oh my goodness, I've been looking for years, because every company wants my name on their products. I wouldn't endorse any of them. But I have a friend who is part of, and I believe it was Ariana Karugi or Diane Clayton, one or the other. And she said, and she kept telling me about how different our formulas were and how we go about to create our formulas. And then she said, I'm working on getting you on our scientific advisory board. And Liz Applegate told me it took them 2 years to interview me before they finally accepted me, because they had to make sure that not only they're an expert, but they have the right philosophy. That's like dating somebody that says, okay, they make a lot of money, but do you serve the same God? It's a philosophy, because your philosophy, your belief system is what's going to drive your heart. And we just love it when Liz gets on stage and shares about the glucose balance or this or that, because she's excited, because she knows that it's the purest, it's the highest quality, and she is excited about sharing it. Well, and she's also called the nutritional diva from UC Davis. While many companies do not even have a scientific advisory board, by the way, Dr. Arthur First formulated the world's first SAB board, the very first, in about 1975 or 76. NeoLife SAB members are highly regarded in their respective fields, are frequently called upon by scientific community, government. Do you know that there are only 100 scientists that sit on a board in Washington, D.C. that actually has a voice and speaks over and watches for any legislation that comes through that tries to block our freedom of access of supplements. And they alert and alarm, and they see what kind of trash and what kind of lawsuits and what kind of things. They go to the labs and they test these products. John Miller's on that board. There's only 100 scientists on that board worldwide, and one of our scientists is on that board. So in the fields, so on a day-to-day basis, your scientific advisory board is continuously involved in literally hundreds of research projects. In other words, we've got a field of expertise in children's nutrition and protein, and then another one that researches antioxidants and polyphenols, and they come together with all their research and say, okay, what can we do to help the next generation? What can we formulate to actually, and then let's do some raw material research. Can we get the finest? Can we get the purest? Can we get it? I mean, it's amazing what all this has to come together to do it right. And it's just so hilarious to say, but, I take this product from this company that just started in 2021, and they have one product and they say that's all you need. Really. And what's their track record? Well, nothing. What's their scientific research behind it? Zero. Okay, on a day-to-day basis. So this talented, hardworking group is truly the heart of NeoLife's envied position at the leading edge of production innovation. As a matter of fact, we have been responsible, our scientific advisory board was responsible for taking down companies, for actually getting some products taken off the shelf that was harmful. Because we did the research in government labs and we submitted our end results, and they were honored because of who we were in the industry. So there they are. There's the latest new, and you can actually go onto your website and click the bio, and the bios of each one is this long. Our team of world-class scientists and nutritional experts guide the development of each NeoLife product to ensure our unparalleled research-backed standards are met. So they're amazing. There's Liz Applegate, Dr. Susan Beck, who actually headed up the Clean Label Project. And her expertise is actually going into companies that are having trouble with a lot of tainted raw ingredients and trying to help them clean up so they don't kill people. She told some of the stories that she shared while we were at leadership at the Brassfield Ranch. She said, I can't only tell you a few of them because, that was her business. But she said many times it harmed children, many times it harmed elderly. And, because of what's in these products. So, and there's John Miller. There's Ariana Karugi, Diane Clayton, and then the latest one is Todd Miller. Latest two was Liz Applegate, then Susan Beck, and then Todd Miller. And Todd Miller is an expert in protein. He's expert in sports, nutrition, and athletic nutrition out of the university there in Washington, D.C. So you can actually go on. If anybody questions, just go on your back office, click on their bio, and send it out to them. We also work with healthcare professionals, about 2,500 of them worldwide. Jen McAfee, I had an honor or privilege of staying with Jen McAfee the first year that I was involved with NeoLife. Went out to Auburn, California, and stayed with his mother. He had a clinic out there. He has a PhD in theology from Dallas Theological Seminary, and he did his dissertation in fasting. And then when he got his degree in nutrition, he scored the highest ever in history on the test. So now he sits on the board for creating the test. So you want to talk about a walking brain? I had the opportunity, and he's another one that told me go to Alibaba because that's where they all get their raw materials from. But he was he renders his knowledge wonderful. He has a website that I glean information from. Years of research, posted research, amazing. So you can see these are just a few of the health professional council. So we don't just get one or two that are local yahoos. It's worldwide. And another one I want to point out here is Dr. Bruce Dewey, which is right here. And he is a medical professional MD out of New Zealand. And he's the one that wrote the book, The Super Supplements. And it was because he was actually dying of a autoimmune issue. And somebody came to his office and told him about NeoLife. And he said, well, I tried them all over the world. And oh, yeah, everybody says there's the best. And so his wife went to a meeting and his wife came back, says, Bruce, I think you need to listen. So he did. And he's alive today. He is, his health was transformed and he speaks all over the world, the accolades of NeoLife, and he's written a book, and I have that book. And if you want to get the book, let me know and I'll tell you how to get it. But it's amazing. But he only will promote NeoLife. Only. And by the way, have you ever heard of kinesiology? He's the Bruce Dewey is the father of kinesiology. So he actually wrote the manuals for the training that they do for kinesiology. Amazing information. So these aren't just a bunch of yahoos collecting a paycheck using their name. These are people that are experts in their field, and they also have the right philosophy that they want the real deal to help humanity. So which leads us to the man, the legendary man, Dr. Arthur First. And Dr. Arthur First is an amazing example of someone who can be mistakenly going down a path because of influence and because of using his field of expertise. And then when he did develop chemotherapy and realized that it was not going to be shown in the light of you need to detox, you need to eat right, you need to identify why you're getting cancer, you need to get to the root of it, that all they were going to do is give chemo as a money-making machine, he was devastated. And you're looking at the father of chemotherapy, oral chemotherapy here. So you can actually go to a website that is totally dedicated to all his accolades, his legendary achievements. He was a pioneer in cancer research. He was a pioneer. He was a forward thinker. He was an expert in chelation. He was an expert in identifying what caused cancer. But he went on to actually be an expert in what nutritional deficiencies cause cancer and what nutritional deficiencies or meeting those deficiencies would prevent cancer. Amazing information. And so he joined our company in 1975 and never looked back, and rendered more pioneered research than any other scientist in history. He had the right philosophy. He wanted to help humanity. He wanted to make a difference. And when he developed the formula of oral chemotherapy, he developed that because they asked him to, the government asked him to, but he had no idea what they were going to do with it. He never made a dime. He never patented it because that wasn't his goal. That wasn't where his heart was. And on his deathbed, he said he had only one regret, and that was formulating chemotherapy. But guess what? We have the antidote. He gave the antidote to us. He gave these amazing nutritional formulas to us so that we can share with the world today. I'll never forget our last two formulas that he formulated, which is our liquid tray essence and the mind enhancement. And he had retired, and it was God, his creator, that spoke to him, said, come out of retirement because the last big attack is going to be on the brain. And so God gave him 2 more formulas before he passed on in his 90s to NeoLife to help us with that. That's the liquid tray essence and the mind enhancement. Amazing. And he incorporated those technologies of passing through the blood-brain barrier and having the research of the polyphenols worldwide and being able to extract and identify the top 10 berries, influx of berries and fruits that are amazing, full of polyphenols. Wow, just amazing information. So we put it to the test. How do we put it to the test? We don't take anybody's word for it for raw materials. You see, how did organic companies, one that came out several years ago that sold baby products, and everybody was jumping on board. All the young mothers were buying all the lotions and the bath and everything, the soaps and all. And it was called an organic line, and it was sold online. And then all of a sudden they found the very toxins they claimed they didn't have in their products when they took it to an independent laboratory test. And it was traced back to the company, just said, well, everything that comes in is certified organic. It's certified organic. So we just trust them. And so we don't trust, we verify in-house. And if you're going to verify, you're going to have the equipment to verify, right? We've developed the equipment to verify, because 50 years ago, they didn't have a plant DNA verification instrument. They do now, and we were the first to use it. Did you know that? We were the first company to use the plant DNA verification instruments. So here, no matter how reputable the supplier each shipment is, it's quarantined. John Miller told me that every raw material is quarantined no less than a dozen times. Checked, rechecked, individual batch samples, tested for potency, tested for purity. Only after raw materials have met the NeoLife's exacting standards are they moved into our warehouse. So you don't even come into the house until you are tested and verified and tested and retested and verified. And testing doesn't stop there. We also analyze finished products with enzymes, vitamins, phytonutrients, according to our stringent SAB standards, to be sure they meet or exceed the rigorous scientific and regulatory criteria essential to market products throughout the world. So we market in 50 countries using advanced methods. How do we get those advanced methods? Because we were the pioneer of those advanced methods. We test tablet disintegration. What does that mean? That means that it's going to dissolve in the stomach. Remember, Louis talks about the bedpan bullets. It goes in as a tablet, comes out the back door exit the same way it went in. We test this to make sure that it's going to dissolve and going to dissolve in the right place. And dissolution time. We want to know how long it takes to dissolve. We want to know, make sure that it's not going to lodge here, stick here, or assemble here, or dislodge there, that it's going to actually dissolve properly. Because there's some things you don't want to dissolve in the stomach, like acidophilus. You don't want that dissolving in the stomach. You want it to actually pass through your small intestines and then make it to the colon and the cecum and the different stages, because it's unwrapping and delivering specific strains of bacteria in specific areas. Stability, purity, potency, bioavailability. We want to make sure it's showing up in the blood. We do blood samples on people that are taking this. This is what we do in the clinical studies. Is it showing up? Is it getting to the cell level? Our Tray-N studies, that's exactly, the scientists won a Nobel Prize on our Tray-N because they showed, praise God, it's getting to the cell. And look what it's doing within 3 minutes. It opens the cell to receive. It opens the gate. It opens the chambers. It opens the receptors to receive nutrition, up to 50% increase. And then all of a sudden that coffee, that sick coughing, sickly cell can now exit and cough and expel and puke out its toxins. 55% increase. And how can we tell that? Because they actually had an instrument that identified the cell in live time when they were given these 3 oils. Amazing. Using these methods, they even test for odor, they test for taste, they have lot numbers that they sit on the shelf, they go back and retest 10 years later, they go back and retest 20 years later. Scientists told me, LaVon, 30 years later, we'll test it and it's still potent. Oh my goodness, because it's created in a sealed nitrogen environment. Moreover, we exceed. How many here know that some of the wheat that was buried with the pharaohs can sprout? Because of the atmosphere of the pyramids were built in a perfect humidity, perfect environment. So when they go in and they can pull out some of the things and the wheat, they could pull the wheat out and plant the wheat and it grew thousands of years old, wheat berries. Moreover, we exceed regulatory requirements by subjecting our products to additional tests. Now, who in the world does those tests, much less additional tests? Well, often conducted by research from universities, government agencies, private contract laboratories. This is where we use our 2,500 professionals that have clinics and university labs. And we say, okay, put this tray into the test, or put this tray to a test, or put this elevate to a test. And they document those studies with people. When we did our skincare, we used a laboratory out of France. And did the studies out of France showing, all right, what percentage of hydration, how deep does the skin hydrate, is the pores, less porous. They studied all that. They documented all of that to verify their performance. Absolutely. Now, who in the world goes to the nth degree? All right, the pioneers in quality research, the quality. So full traceability from farm to table, the quality campaign. We've led the quality campaign. Are there many that has followed us? Why? Because the path is what? Narrow. Because the path is narrow. So many don't follow us because the path is narrow. Our state-of-the-art quality assurance program includes these 10 steps of full traceability from farm to table, meticulous seed selection. You mean we go to the farms that we contract and we test the seed that the farmer's planting to make sure? Why? Because we have an instrument that can test the DNA of a seed. Not only is it GMO, but is it CRISPR? Because the latest is CRISPR. So an instrument that's testing for GMO, it can't test for CRISPR technology. You've got to have the instrument that can test for CRISPR technology. We have the instrument that tests for CRISPR technology. Pristine soil, we test the soil. Does this soil have any substance in it that could be deemed as harmful? Field crop monitoring, we'll go out and monitor the field crops. Nutrient optimizing the harvest. So we actually go out and harvest some of the nutrients, we bring it back into the lab and test its lycopene level on a tomato, or its lutein level out of a peach. What? Nutrient extraction and concentration, purity and potency verification, socially responsible manufacturing, quality controls and laboratory analysts, product delivery and batch tracking, all the way from the beginning to the end, from the farm, from the seed to the table. We can track it. Wow, that's why we can back it, because we can track it. So pharmaceutical license for manufacturing. We often say, yes, we operate from we have our SAB, but we also operate from a pharmaceutical licensing. Why do we do that when we don't have to do that? We do that because to give you as a consumer that another level of assurance, because we know all the charlatans that are out there. And so we're saying, rest assured, we can prove it, we can back it. Pharmaceutical license for manufacturing. NeoLife owns and operates state-of-the-art manufacturing facilities that surpass the most stringent global GMP standards and manufacturing regulations. When I hear people say it's the best of the best and I buy this, I said, show me the seal of accountability. Almost every time it's a GMP, good manufacturing practices. Pretty much, you can actually look that up, and it can say different things at different times, but mostly it means they come in and make sure your paperwork's in order, and are you sweeping the floors and cleaning the machinery. It's not for label integrity, but a pharmaceutical license is if we say it has ascorbic acid from a juice extracted orange, so many milligrams, when they come in unannounced and they test our vitamin C, they better find that it's coming from a juice extracted orange and it has that many milligrams of vitamin C in it. So this includes a drug license from the state of California, as well as an esteemed drug license from the TGA. Some of the highest standards in the world are Japan and Australia. We exceed them, which very few manufacturers in the United States are able to actually obtain a TGA manufacturing license from Australia. Although we do not manufacture drugs, we hold these licenses and others to validate our exceptional quality standards. This license means that every aspect of our operation is open to unannounced USDA or FDA visitations, because the law requires manufacturers to meet the stringent standards required of drug manufacturers. We voluntarily do this, and we've been doing it for over 35 years. We've not had one product recall. We've not had one lawsuit. We've not had one shutdown of our facility. Wow. I took my husband today on the way back from Daytona, and we stopped in Mount Dora to eat a bite of food. And I love Italian food. I love a nice big salad and a piece of good chicken or something. And you know what? The restaurant was closed. It had a particular colored notification on the door. That means it came from the state. That means they've been having unscrupulous ethics in what they were serving and how they were serving it. And I go, what? I'm so glad that, I did not eat there. So state-of-the-art research and development facilities. NeoLife has a multi-billion-dollar state-of-the-art product research and development facilities on 2 different continents, Europe and the USA. So how did we get that? Do you think other companies are going to put out multi-billion dollars to get what we got? We got it. Okay, I'm going to say it. Be willing to do today what others won't do in order to have tomorrow what others won't have. Write that one down. Why? Because NeoLife was willing to do today what others were not willing to do in order to have today in 2023 what others do not have. European Technology Center, high-tech instruments. In addition, NeoLife is listed as an original equipment manufacturer. That means we develop the technology and the manufacturing, which allows the company to engineer, develop, manufacture its own specialized production equipment. Thus, we're ahead in the innovations. We're pioneers in the industry. Take a look at this. This is where quality matters. Leading the quality campaign. You can actually see a lot number on all of the products. And if there's any problem whatsoever, they go back to that lot number and they can identify if it's carotenoid, what farm, what seed, that the carrots, the peaches, the apricots, the spinach, the peppers, the tomato, that it came from. Who does that scrupulous accounting? NeoLife does, because they were willing to do today. They were willing to do yesterday what others were not willing to do in order to have today for us to have solutions that help us what others do not have. So highly skilled technical experts, NeoLife continues to attract and retain highly qualified people. In addition to prestigious, esteemed scientific advisory board, global science network, using sophisticated instruments, complex procedures. This professional research staff is responsible for NeoLife's quality control assurance. They apply their scientific and manufacturing expertise to ongoing development of new and improved and innovative. How do you think we came out with our vegan D? How do you think we came out with our vegan protein shake? How do you think we came out with our newest formula, our Elevate, that is unlike, it's the cleanest energy drink on the market? How do we do that? Because we know what's right and we do what's right. And we put in that formula to where it's going to not just have one ingredient or two or three, it's going to have everything possible to give you the most powerful impact of nootropic nutrition. Brain health, biocompatibility. So this means that it has to come from the human food chain. Fit right for life. So in other words, is this going to fit for life? Is this something that's going to produce life? Synthetics can't produce life, never can produce life, will never produce life. It will produce life-like substances, but not the original seed and production and creation of life. Organic or natural have been tossed around to the point that they have lost their meaning for consumers. Motor oil, for instance, is organic. Hello. And and derived from living organisms, but it's not something we want to put into our bodies. Recently, organic has been defined as simply anything that contains a carbon. Well, rocks and turpentine and fluorescent dyes contains a carbon, so they can put on a label natural. They can put on a label organic. So caveat emptor, meaning customer beware designation can mean next to nothing in today's marketplace when you read the word organic or when you read the word natural. Similarly, the word natural has lost its meaning. Some supplement manufacturers are natural but not biocompatible. So when you're talking about NeoLife, is it biocompatible? Well, pine bark is not biocompatible. Orange algae slime is not biocompatible. Pond scum is not biocompatible. But yet it's in every single antioxidant sold out there in the market. I've looked at all of them and they all contain pine bark and some type of algae. They grow off the coast of Australia. Oh my goodness. So these substances have never been a part of the human diet. And they have no way of knowing if they're safe for long-term, short-term. Asking if something is natural, but you don't know what you're getting, but ask if something is biocompatible. So human whole food supplements, biologically complete, bioavailability, instantizing protein in 1965. We were the first pioneer company to bring about instantizing protein. Stomach, simulated stomach to actually determine its bioavailability, its dissolution time in the stomach, chelated minerals, clinical human studies published in peer-reviewed medical studies, molecular differentiation, meaning we can extract the oils of omegas and get the actual all 8 families at the proper measurement that is proper. You don't want too much 6 and not enough 3s. Source specific, we actually can identify, we want a specific tomato, we want a specific peach, and a specific fish. Therapeutically standardized. So we want to make sure that the capsule contains enough that it actually is the therapeutic standardized amount that was proven to be effective in the human clinical studies. Oh my goodness, isn't that a bright idea? Amazing, yes. So liquid, we were the first to ever come out with a liquid supplement. We were the first to come out with children's chewables, especially the antioxidants. We were the first to come out with digestive enzymes. We were the first to actually derive a vitamin C from a whole orange, juice extracted orange with the flavonoids and bioflavonoids. We were the first to create the technology of enteric coated technology, a threshold controlled technology for our vitamin C and our vitamin B that holds steady into the bloodstream for 6 to 8 solid hours. We have the target delivery technology for our acidophilus. We're the first lipotropic adjunct that was studied over and over again for your cardiovascular, for your health, for your liver, that even blocks the chromosome of birth defects when you take it, when you're pregnant. Amazing. Over and over again. World's first antioxidants, world first carotenoid, flavonoid, vitamin C, beta guard technology for detoxifications. Oh my goodness. So longevity and leadership in a competitive march in our industry today. Competition is intense in the global market, and only the fittest survive. Companies come and go over years. Longevity is uncommon. NeoLife is rare exception, having been in business since 1958. We have not only survived, but we have thrived. An industry leader, NeoLife is a company that other companies try to imitate, but they're so far behind in the rear view mirror. Why? Because they're not willing to do today what others have done in order to have tomorrow what others have. NeoLife excellent reputation is based in history, teaming with technical achievements and industry first. A good example of that was our patent with our carotenoid complex. It was Oxford University that said, you better patent this. Well, you can't patent a food because it's just food. But we could patent the technology because no one had ever done it before. So we had the first formula that we patented, yes. And so absolute quality, integrity, we've led the quality campaign down through the years since 1958. At NeoLife, product philosophy is simple, absolute, unwavering pursuit of quality without compromise. We believe that the right decisions about our body, our homes, deciding what to put in them and what to keep out of them are amongst the most important decisions of our lives when it comes to health, and the health of our children, our future families is simply no room for compromise. Wow. So that ends the show. I hope you enjoyed the information. I'm going to stop the share, and then I'm going to stop the recording, whiteboard apps. Here we go.